feel like most of the retail crowd is talented in technicals. All they need is fundamentals, and your chances of profitability increase so much more. Alan, I would greatly agree. I think technicals are easy. I've said this many times. It's controversial. I don't think technical analysis is hard I think it's really simple. You could probably teach somebody who's never traded before, like technical analysis, the basics that I use for technical analysis within 1 week or less. Fundamentals, a different story. Without the right tools, it can take many years to learn fundamentals. Nick, do you have a fundamental course? I do. It's completely free on my YouTube channel. Go to the playlist section and you can watch the fundamental course. And here's my warning. If you go through the fundamental course and you start liking fundamentals, what you'll notice is that the Edge Finder is in every single one of those videos because that's how I track and showcase fundamental data. The challenge of fundamentals, it's really hard to get all the right data in the right place. So if you want to take your fundamental analysis seriously, that's why we have customers all over the world who love our tools, is because we specialize in building those dashboards for traders who want to incorporate them but don't know where to start, right? If you're going to try and incorporate fundamental analysis without data screening software, you're going to be reading articles for 6 hours per day and still feel like your brain is scattered. Showcase like this is the utility we offer as a business. Like, that's what we do, is we build those tools. You focus on trading, we focus on getting you the data in front of it. And I use this every single day to find the steps that I look for, right? As a trader, I also use the products that my company builds. There's Bitcoin. Bitcoin's back on the list. I think yesterday we had some errors with Bitcoin pulling into the Edge Finder, but should have been sorted. I still love the Bitcoin story. I'm not necessarily like a Bitcoin hodler per se. Like, I'm not like a forever Bitcoin person, but I like the fundamentals of Bitcoin, and there absolutely is fundamental analysis behind Bitcoin. For years, people are like, they have loved to say like, oh, Bitcoin is like this new money thing, and it operates off of the system. It's not impacted by, traditional finance. And I would absolutely take the other side of that bet, because Bitcoin really does move in tandem with the rest of the financial market. When NASDAQ is up, typically Bitcoin is up. That's not a coincidence. Typically they move in the same direction, because Bitcoin is a good old-fashioned, or a good new fashion, I suppose, because it's a new asset. It's a good new fashioned risk-on asset. It typically rises in good times when the economies of the world look good and there's not a lot of war and inflation and all that stuff is not taking over the headlines. Bitcoin does better. And if you think in the last few years, when Russia was invading Ukraine and inflation was running rampant and recession fears were everywhere, and we had earnings recessions in the United States. When that was happening, Bitcoin just coincidentally had a massive drop. And then when things got better, when inflation started to cool off and jobs and employment stayed very strong, and GDP numbers started to ramp up and really outperform, lo and behold, Bitcoin runs to the upside. Bitcoin is, I always think of it as like the pampered child. It does just fine when it gets what it wants, but it throws a fit when it does not.
The Edge Finder is the #1 trading tool for 2025. The Edge Finder is constantly scanning for new data and information to give you the advantage when it comes to trading your favorite assets. Easily stay up to date with the latest sentiment, technical, and economic data, all within the Edge Finder. The Edge Finder scores on 12 different metrics to give an overall bullish or bearish bias, so you can have more confidence when you're ready to take a trade. The Edge Finder is a one-time payment, which means all future updates and improvements come 100% free of charge. Start your new year off right and upgrade your trading with the Edge Finder.
This year, I still like gold on the long side. And there are some things that I'm looking for that would kind of give me more, like it would compel me a little bit more to start looking for longs on gold. Specifically, I'd be looking for a stronger reading, a 5 or greater reading on the edge finder would be a go signal for me on gold. How am I going to get a 5 or greater? Well, if you're an edge finder user, you might try this out. Head over to your data scanners section, pull up gold and silver, and by default, it goes to gold. And what you can see here is that a lot of our data points here are not favoring gold at the moment. So when we look at, like, for example, think for a second, GDP growth in the United States, which of course we're talking about gold against the dollar. So we want a weaker dollar for gold to go up. So GDP growth came out 3.1%. Forecasts were for 2.8. So we had an upbeat growth in the economy on a year-over-year basis. Is that something positive or negative for gold? And intuitively, you would say, well, that would make for a stronger dollar and more economic security. That doesn't really sound very bullish for gold, and you'd be correct. That's why this is coded red or pink, right? That's how the edge finder automatically thinks through economic data and helps traders to sort of understand why something is getting a bullish or bearish reading. So we can do the same experiment here with manufacturing PMIs. So manufacturing outlook came out better than expected. 48.2 was expected. We got 49.3. That's also economic upbeat data, not good for gold. So you can see that's kind of why the edge finder is holding the score down on gold. And it's had kind of a neutral reading for about a month and a half. So I'm waiting for some of these things to turn blue, which would mean weakness. Like weakness in the economy would give me more of a reason to start looking for long positions on gold. And that would also pop up in the top setups algorithm page, enter my watch list, and then I would actually start looking to trade it. But right now, price action looks good. You got a bullish chart here on gold, but I just don't love the fundamentals. And until that changes, I'm not in a rush to trade gold. I love trading gold, but I really can't justify breaking the rules of my system. Edge finder first, technicals second, and then risk management is, of course, important as well. Bashi says, I have a edge finder question. I use the free trial, but struggle to add it to my trading as I trade the minute one chart intraday. Is there any way it can be used with that as I struggle to find a way? Bashi, absolutely. So the edge finder is not going to give you like down to the 30-second, signals of like, oh, go long, go short. But if you understand, for example, that we're in a, let's say, bullish environment for the Dow Jones, right? Based on the fundamentals. Fundamentals play a role in all time frames. I think that if you're somebody who's trading the 5-minute chart or the 1-minute chart, the same concept can apply, because what you might say is, if we recognize that, I don't know, NFP comes out a certain way and the fundamentals tell you, oh, wow, that's looking really strong, you could take that down to the 1-minute chart and the 5-minute chart and the 15-minute chart. One of my good friends in the trading space, Kathy Lean, is a intraday trader who is a fundamental monster. She's so good. She's so good. She trades Forex, and she is a institutional. She's a fundamental. She's brilliant at it. She knows her stuff, and she trades intraday short-term charts based on fundamentals and, of course, technicals as well. So, absolutely. The edge finder is not like a time frame specific tool. It is a way to just screen economic data. So this would be kind of like, here's how a lot of people, I would say, use the edge finder. All time frames, not time frame specific. You guys know how a lot of traders, and maybe I'm going to accidentally, say what you guys do. So a lot of people do this. What they do is they say, look, I only trade in the direction of a moving average. This is like the simplest. Let's say we do a 50-period moving average, and let's change this to a bright red, just for example. And what we say is and this is just an example. A lot of traders would say, I only trade in the bullish direction if we're above the moving average, or in the bearish direction if we are below the moving average. We would call that a technical filter on your trading. So let's say you see something that looks like a bearish setup right now in your technicals, but you say, nope, can't take bearish setups because we are trading above the 50 period moving average. Are we following? Does that make sense? Let's go one step further. This is what a lot of traders do with the Edge Finder. This is what I do with the Edge Finder. And again, you can use it how you want, but this is what I do. That's a technical filter on your trading. The Edge Finder for many traders is what is referred to as a fundamental filter, right? So this makes sense. Okay, I only trade in direction of the moving average on the technical side. The Edge Finder is for many a fundamental filter. I only take trades in the direction of the fundamentals on the Edge Finder. I spoke to someone, a good friend of mine in the trading space, prop firm kid. Many of you guys might know him on Instagram. His name is Daniel. That's exactly how he explained to me that he uses the Edge Finder. The cool thing about this tool is people are using it many different ways. Some people use it to screen sentiment data very closely, and they don't necessarily look at the top setups page. But for many, myself included, the day-to-day usage of the Edge Finder is as a screening tool. So you say, let's say your two filters are this. Like, let's say ultimately your entries and exits are from price action. Like you're looking for breaks and retests, support and resistance, etc. Let's say you have two additional filters. Number one, you have a technical filter. You say 50-day moving average. I trade in the direction of the 50 SMA. Okay? But on top of that, we add a fundamental screening to our setups. So here's an example. Let's look at the Dow Jones, okay? And let's just say we're building a hypothetical scenario here. We say, part one, is the Dow Jones trading above our 50 SMA? Yes. So that would be a bullish filter. And then we say, is the Dow getting a 5 or greater score on the Edge Finder when looking at economic, technical, and sentiment data? Yes. Okay, good. We are in the clear to start looking for now technical entries to the long side on the Dow Jones. That's how I would use that. So does that make sense? Can you guys do me a favor? I want to make sure that this fundamental filter concept is tracking. If that makes sense, type yes, put 1 in the chat just to let me know I can move on from that subject. But so people ask me, how can you use the Edge Finder as a filter? That is exactly how. Doesn't matter the time frame. It is your fundamental yes or no, right? So then you say, okay, got my moving average, got my Edge Finder. Now I'm looking for technical breakouts and retests. This is, I just outlined to you guys a trade that I'm looking for in the Dow. This is exactly what I'm looking for, is a breakout now, because I know my other filters are A-okay, ready to go. Fundamentals, Edge Finder, I like it. I agree with the score on the Edge Finder. That's a +1 for me. +2, I got a trend in my favor, right? What are we doing here? We are stacking confluence factors in our favor prior to putting money at risk in the markets. We never know for certain if that's going to be, that doesn't mean that the Dow Jones is going to do this and we're going to make $1 trillion, right? That does not mean it's a certainty. But we're stacking things in our favor to improve probabilities of success. That's the theory, right? Okay, a bunch of yeses and ones in the chat. Appreciate you on that. I'm glad we could discuss that. And I do also want to just say, with the Edge Finder filter, right? You can also add some cool things here. Let's say you don't trade indices. Just take them off. If you don't trade indices, cool. Now you've got a list here. Let's say you don't trade minor currency pairs. You can filter your watch list here. And this is why I always say this with the Edge Finder. If I wasn't streaming for a day, like when I go on trips, I love talking to this stuff all day with you guys and hanging out. But let's just say I'm busy, like I was busy over the summer. My sister had a wedding in Greece, and Well, it wasn't the summer, but a couple months back. When I was in Greece, I didn't have really that much time to look at this stuff. My trading was like 30 minutes or less per day, like 15, if 20. This is the process. Pull up the edge finder, look at the top setups, look at the technical chart, make sure we're tracking there. And if there's an entry, good. Take the trade, set up your risk management appropriately, go on with your day. If there's no setups on the edge finder's thing that look good, none of them are tracking for technical setups, close the laptop and go off and have an ice cream with my wife. That was Greece in a nutshell. It was great. So my point is, when we use the edge finder is meant to just be a simple filter that keeps your head straight instead of staring at this stuff and being like, is it fundamentally bullish? Is it fundamentally there? Like, trying to do that off the top of your head is what I used to do. It was way too much work. Having a system makes a difference.
Did you know we do a live trading show Monday through Friday with guests from all over the world? To get notified when we go live, click the bell button next to the subscribe button or check in at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We have helpful, free content in the description below and on our website, a1trading.com. Thanks for watching today's video, and we'll see you tomorrow.